10:02 maybe, at the right time, 10:02. AM, meeting of the Marine and Environmental Resource Task Force. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
turning is what that spot open.
You can't do what you feel like, you gotta think about
Yeah,
it.
he might not,
Don't
because
like
Brandon told me she was gonna not be available for Friday's pop-up, so I might be out of town.
Might be traveling. Okay, so roll call. Now you're at the 12 o'clock.
Present.
Mary Rose Coletta, present.
Robert Howell, present.
Rose Larkin, present.
Jennifer Russ here.
Steve Johnson, present.
Bill Altoff, present.
Okay. Next is approval of the agenda. You all received the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I had some questions.
Yeah, I've got an adjustment actually I would recommend.
Well, my questions were based on two things. One was your recommendation for education, actually both of the new people were recommending education, and that's something we've been promoting big time for the last several years. And so I had sent something out for all of you to receive on the invasive plant list from 2019, which is the current list. I have it posted to the town's website. And so that didn't happen, so I really would like the vegetation to be back on there. In addition to some decisions by the town council on various trees that they're considering planting at Royal Palms. And also, now that I'm normally here on the beach 1 to 3 times a week, people are coming up to me and saying, oh, did you hear that this business or whatever is planting invasive plants? And so commercial vegetation projects is also a concern. And then, in addition to that, at the October 16th town council meeting, there was a discussion between the Anchorage Committee and MERTF being mentioned about looking into the canal dredging. And I thought that might end up on our agenda. And then the mayor had talked about how the town council is very concerned about the whole rebuilding of the community with both the community and businesses involved. And so I thought that would encompass vegetation and a few other projects that we had listed. So that's my take at the moment.
Okay, so what are the actual recommendations for the agenda items, or some of that?
It could be
part of
vegetation.
members' reports, or?
See, I think it needs, well, at least vegetation should be on a current item because there's multiple components to that. But then I feel bad because since it's not listed, then nobody in the public would have known about it to come and speak about it. But,
Well, we can always have it on this agenda and then put it on the next one also if we feel we want to invite people.
yes, because when people look at this agenda, it's like it doesn't list anything about vegetation or the commercial business aspect of it.
But what's
or,
that, I guess, for the benefit of everybody, so it's just a discussion of what's going on, or there's, as you know, we can't move the vegetation ordinance forward.
Right, no, this would be to put something on the town's website in terms of invasive plants, which was brought up about listing invasive plants so people would know what they are and make it more accessible, and it is accessible right now. But I'll go into that when we get to it. The whole canal dredging, I don't know. That was something that was discussed between the Anchorage Committee and MERTF at the October 16th meeting. I don't have any information on that at all.
Yeah, I was aware of that as well. Okay, so there's canal dredging and vegetation you'd like to add today.
Yeah, it's just information for the public, residents and businesses.
Okay, any other
So
additions?
just to update y'all, we do have a survey of invasive plants on there. Is that what you're referring to, or you're referring to the FLE, PPC, whatever it is?
That list, yes, there's a new list from 2019, but to find it, Well, to find it, you have to go to the Fort Myers Beach Town website. You have to go to the tab of Doing Town Business. Then you go down to Environmental Science. Then you have to click on Native Invasive Plants.
Mhm.
Then you have to open the plant information from the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Science, which has 11 different website links on it. You have to select the one that says Florida Exotic Pest Plant Console,
That was my point.
which does not say anything about an invasive plant list. It says select Florida Exotic Pest Plant Console. Then you select the plant list, and then you need to know that 2019 is the most current list available.
And that sounds easy enough. I don't
Yeah.
understand why people can't find it.
That was kind of the point I was trying to make last meeting, is that it was a little, because I had to go search, I really had to want to find it,
Yeah,
but I did find it.
Oh, good, well, gold star.
It shouldn't be that hard to put a link just to that last bit.
Right, and I have sent, yes.
so we're already discussing this. I
All
guess we
right, yeah,
better
that's
put it on
right.
the
So it's
agenda.
still, well,
Yeah.
still again, approval of agenda. So we've got those two items. I actually also have you.
I'm done, sorry.
Anybody else? I also have, I had requested earlier, to actually put the initiatives back onto the agenda, so that we can go over and have consensus of exactly what items are going to be presented to council, and then go through our normal procedures of presenting it to council as we have done in the past, to ask for them to add, subtract, or give us comments that help us prioritize what that list is. Like I said, as we've done in the past. And so that's what I'd like to include as well, while keeping both the beach school cooperation and the beach sands projects, because I think that there's a lot to be discussed there on the agenda already.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, and I don't know if it needs to be put on the agenda because we've already approved doing the activity book, but I do have some information. I don't know if I need to present this during members' items reports, but one of them is discussing maybe honorary or some sort of grant to the lady who's going to be helping us, the FGCU student who's going to be helping us with the activity book. So is that
That's right,
something?
members item, I would put
Okay.
with members items. Okay, so as far as approving the agenda, I make a motion to amend it to include the initiative list again, as we already have actually established, to include the items that we discussed last meeting. As well as vegetation. I guess that should be relatively brief because it seems like it's almost more of a information sharing section. And then comments on the canal dredging. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that, Steve. But first, let's repeat again. What are we adding to the agenda? How many items,
3, initiatives list, which shouldn't be very long.
right?
The vegetation, again, I don't think it's necessarily gonna be too long. Canal dredging should be just to really articulate what's going on.
But yeah, I'll second that. Let's talk about those 3 things.
All right, for discussion, so those 3, and then we have beach school cooperation, which again, shouldn't be too long. I mean, it's an idea really at this point. I think we're brainstorming. And then the beach sand projects, which I think will be the majority of the meeting, actually, potentially, could be.
So we've got 5 items.
Right, which is a ton. So knowing that, then the previous ones need to be as brief as possible, I'd say. So that's the discussion. So we have a motion and a second.
For those 5 items.
Yeah,
As
the
the
motion
agenda.
was Spalletta and the second was
My second.
Howell. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. So let's start then with vegetation. Shall we, Rose?
Approval of previous meeting minutes?
Right, public comment, all
I'll
that
look at
good
those.
stuff, right? So again, I just received them as I walked in, so I make a motion, we table that to allow everybody to get a copy of
The
it.
minutes?
Yeah, these weren't distributed, Chad?
Sorry,
The minutes were not distributed?
I believe Eva emailed them to you.
No.
No, we never got them.
No, yeah, okay.
Can we try to have that and the agenda printed out every time before the meeting, so we can at least get it when we walk in?
Well, but that doesn't allow you to look through the minutes. I prefer to have, I mean, the minutes are done at least a couple of weeks before the meeting.
Well, I know, but I mean, it would be helpful also coming in.
Yeah, I'd like to read them before we come in here.
Of course. I mean,
I'm
of
sure
course.
we all.
We all looked at it, yeah.
Yeah, so I make a motion to table the minutes until next meeting.
Second,
All right, motion by Johnson, second by Nussbaum. Any objection? Okay.
Is there any, well, before we move on, is there anything in it who has looked at them that we want to talk about that we know?
No, I would say
Oh, I
no.
haven't looked
They
at
all
it.
have to be
Haven't seen
considered.
it.
Okay.
I had to look it up, so.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, so,
I just skimmed it as I walked in.
yeah, I mean, it would help a lot, yeah, to get them in advance for sure. So we table those?
Is there a reason why we didn't get them? Did he,
I mean, frankly,
Chad, how come we?
for the last 5 meetings, we had to do 3 in 1 meeting, so I
Why
don't, is there a better way to?
Is that he was
I'll
supposed,
talk to Ms. Evelyn and we'll get it together.
So that in the future, she will just directly send.
can she do that or does she have to go through you?
Is that the plan?
I'll talk to Evan.
Okay.
All right, good. So let's go to public comment. Seeing no public, we'll move on. So current items. Vegetation.
Okay, well, you already heard the list of how to find the current list, and I have it on a PDF. I've already sent it to Chad last week, October 31st, and it's just a 2-page thing, but it does have invasive plants number category 1 and category 2. It's very small print, but it's the list of plants, and I would like it posted directly to the town's website so that people don't have to go through all those steps to try and find it. And part of my rationale for that is that in the last several weeks, people have come up to me from various groups, and you can look at this, that they know that businesses, including Margaritaville, has lists of vegetation on their landscaping plans that include invasive plants. And they've all come up to me and just kind of whispered it in my ear almost because they don't know what to do with the information. And it's like, well, I'm sure they don't know. I mean, they're going to the big store items, you know, if they're not local, and buying things that they see or someone talks them into, not realizing that they're invasive in South Florida. So I just really would like that list posted directly onto the website, and then to get the word out for businesses to really look at it and see what's on there, because it has both the common names and also the scientific names of all of them.
Yeah, I think it behooves us to do that.
So isn't that just a matter of getting
People
hold
will
of
do the right
Jenny,
thing.
Jenny Dexter to ask her to place it on the website?
Right, with the list.
More
yes.
easily available, and then also potentially send out an advisory to say this is posted, have a look, if you're considering landscaping, these are.
Maybe some kind of social media post once it is on there. Hey, you know,
It would
new
be
to the
nice,
website.
Yeah,
Yeah, like just something that new to the website, you know, as you rebuild, check out our newly updated list. Like, I think, because I follow their Instagram, Facebook, you know, all that, and I think,
Who's that, the town?
Yeah.
Do they have Instagram?
yeah,
well, and everyone that's submitting a landscaping plan, you can just say, have you looked at
Yeah.
what is on there, rather than going down 7 layers
Good
on the
idea.
town's website? Say, have you looked at this list? It's not binding, but you should consider what is on this list as you're selecting trees and shrubs for your landscaping plan.
and who
Therefore,
should tell them that?
Well, but it's,
Because it's like, we're,
I think a lot of people want to do the right thing
I believe that.
without someone saying, this is what you have to do. If you come out and say, here's a list, we'd like you to consider using alternatives than what's on this list as specified, I think most people will do it. There are going to be some people that say, I'm gonna plant whatever the hell I wanna plant.
But there's, I mean, right now, again, I'm gonna point to Rose, because she's, I think maybe the most involved with the ordinances, but the commercial and multifamily ordinances do require a permit, correct?
But yes,
And within the ordinance, it actually
but then
specifies,
who's overseeing them? That's the,
well, those have to be approved by code compliance
But
They have to
you
be
can't,
signed off on, I believe.
but you can't make a rule that says you have to use something not on that list,
Right, Mike,
because that's
I believe,
not what we can do.
right, that's what we were attempting to do for residential, but I think on a commercial multifamily, it specifies exactly that you have to have a certain percentage of native. I don't know, are invasives allowed to be, are the invasives on that list?
Should not be, but couldn't tell you. That would be a chat question.
Yep.
I don't know.
What's the question, sorry?
Are invasives on
Would you-
the,
Would you please repeat it?
are invasives on the list of possible plants that commercial people could put in their landscape?
No, so chapter 10 specifically prohibits exotic invasive species from
That's what I thought.
commercial properties.
Perfect.
Yeah, done deal.
See, they just don't know that, and that's that whole education piece that we've talked about.
But for commercial properties, that,
Is it,
all those are permitted, is that correct, Chad?
Oh, yes, sir.
And so you approve, you code compliance then reviews them.
Do you have a list of what species you are speaking to, so I can understand what the
The
issue is?
2019 invasive plant list from the
You
exotic.
have a list of species that are at, say, Margaritaville, that are,
I don't have the list. It was one of those things where people come and talk to me.
sure, so if you can get the list of specific species that are concerned that either slip through or are there, or.
Or they've already
not there.
submitted their plans. I
Again,
don't know.
which species we're speaking about right now, so we're gonna go through plans and try and find something, or is there a specific concern for a specific plant? If you can get that to me, that'd be helpful.
Okay, I will work on that. It'll be a few days.
Okay, anything else on vegetation?
Pass on some of the trees that are being considered. I know they put in Royal Palms, like in Times Square, and then there's some discussion now about putting them elsewhere on the island or coming onto the island. And I just want to reiterate that those trees get to be massive, like 50, 60 feet tall plus, and their palm fronds when they fall down.
Did we confirm that those are
That was in the
trees?
that was in
Those
the
are the.
town manager's notes.
In the Times Square, I mean, I took photos, that's what I came up with, that those are, which are huge. But now there's consideration that there's this tree, Tree USA
Tree
group
USA Foundation.
that is considering giving money or trees to the town of Fort Myers Beach to put in more
Well,
vegetation,
the
which
town
is
is
great.
pursuing it.
Yeah, and that's great, but not Royal Palms, for a couple of reasons. One, they're huge. B, if a palm frond falls down, those things are very large. They come like 10 to 15 and they're heavy.
You
They can
wish it
weigh
was a
up.
coconut.
Yeah, they can weigh up to 50 pounds. And also, I mean, there were some of those in my neighborhood, and when the hurricane came through, they toppled over. And I mean, it took large, heavy industrial equipment to move them or chainsaws to cut through them. And if you think about where they might be planted, they could then impede evacuation routes if they fell over
Oh, wow.
prior to the major onset of a storm. So they really need to go with smaller palms.
Native palm.
Well, actually, Royal Palms are native and they do fairly well on Sanibel,
smaller
but
native is what
not,
I'm
yes, not there and not on small highways or roads. Yeah,
2-lane roads, yeah,
definitely not a good thing.
what I read was it was for Estero Boulevard and Old San Carlos Boulevard,
Yeah,
which I'm not sure where you
either.
could plant a tree like that,
No.
right? There's the
No.
parking strips. Are they gonna be, can't be put on private property? I don't know if there's not right away.
Well, there's a small right of way, but it's not going to encompass a tree that large that has, is 5 stories or more tall that fall over and block the
Yeah, you
entire
familiar with the Royal Palm,
roadway.
you guys with the Royal Palm?
But
We have
Russell
numerous,
McGregor, yeah, you said.
Yeah.
we have numerous royal palms on our property,
Mhm.
and I would say all but 2 survived the storm. So, and they
Not
were.
too well,
Yeah,
but
And they
they
were
will.
2 that were recently transplanted. So I would say they've only been in the ground 2 years, but all of the well-established royals rode out the storm very well.
What's your opinion of them being down Estero Boulevard and Old San Carlos
Well,
Boulevard?
If they're down McGregor Boulevard, and it's
That's a
striking.
boulevard, that's a boulevard, that's not a 2-lane road.
If there's room on the Estero Boulevard, and there are some areas
South.
south
Of
along
the
there,
church maybe, yeah.
I think they're very striking. I mean, all you have to do is drive down McGregor Boulevard and look at the impact that they have. So obviously, fronds coming down are an issue. But, you know, branches coming off most trees are an issue. The royal palms do shed, but it's, you know, I think the aesthetics, my personal opinion, are striking, which is one of the reasons we have quite a few on our property. And I didn't plant them, they were put in previously, and we've been there 50 years. And we have some 50-year-old royal palms that are absolutely stunning trees. And they hold the soil, and they can withstand hurricanes, obviously.
And we had the same track record in our condo. We had a couple die. But if they're native and we have a list that says they're good, I don't see why.
Well,
Well, just the town, the
Not a lot of shade,
expense.
yeah.
The expense of cleaning up after them and, you know, McGregor Boulevard's pretty nice because a lot of the residents help pull the fronds off the roadway, or they have constant crews that pull them up, because when they do fall down and they're on the McGregor Boulevard, the actual street, it's tough. I mean, it can cause damage to a vehicle. So Estero Boulevard's not that wide in most sections. So maybe in a wider section on Estero Boulevard, it could be considered, but there's lots of smaller, shorter palms that are like, you know, 20, 25 feet that would give the palm look without being detrimental to evacuation routes and cleaning up after them and whatever. That's just my take
Just
on it.
one topic on evacuation routes. If there's an evacuation that we need to do, everybody should be out before palm trees are falling in.
That's true, but the palm fronds might be.
But most palms are self-cleaning, right?
Yeah.
Royal palms are, yes.
They'll just fall.
I think the
apart.
issue is the fronds are so massive that,
And they do break windshields, I can touch
Also,
it.
they've had to remove royal palms from McGregor due to utility work. FPL has had to remove a few that people weren't very happy with, but because they're so large, they can hinder utility lines.
which would prohibit them from being on the beach side. They don't have to be on the bay side of the
Which
road.
then you
for the
lose
zero.
that look. And also, I believe we should try, just like we're doing with the lighting, uniformity is, I think, really important.
Yeah, so the issue I would say then would be that if that was the case, then you probably wouldn't, there wouldn't be room to plant any until after you pass the Catholic Church, where the right of way gets larger. It's only
Oh,
50
so-
feet, right, in the downtown area. Old San Carlos, I can't imagine where they would put them there. So then it wouldn't be a consistent look all the way down Estero Boulevard. If you pick them up after the church, right? Because again, there's parking, there's a sidewalk, and there's a parking strip that's about this. Is that what we're calling it, parking strip? We spent a lot of time on that
Would these
before.
trees be planted in the sidewalks, in the sidewalk area, or on
Well, see,
private
they
property?
haven't decided that either. There's been discussion by the town that they're gonna pave that all in and make it part of a bike lane from the sidewalk to the street, so there won't even be any plants there, period. So I don't
And
know.
if you've ever walked in my area down by town, Times Square area, Miramar down, during spring break or a very busy weekend, that sidewalk can be packed full of people from one end to the other.
Yeah,
So
they're not gonna break out the sidewalk with the palm tree, I don't think, right? I mean,
That's what I'm
an
wondering.
obstruction. And plus they're ADA, I mean, wouldn't be ADA.
So it would be private properties then.
That's what I'm saying, no, there's no room. I mean, there's no even parking strip until you get to Great Plaza or whatever, right? I mean, there's literally, it's 50, whatever that 50 feet is. I mean, by next to Margarita, we got the bathhouse right there. I mean, that's right on the sidewalk, so that's all privately owned from the sidewalk over. And so if you visualize how much space is between the sidewalk and the street, I mean, there's absolutely
None.
zero space
Zero.
until you get further stuff, past Mid-Island.
So, Chairman Johnson, are we just deciding whether we want to say royal palms are good or bad? Or are we trying to plan the boulevard?
I think the question is whether or not we're an advisory council, so is there advice we can give the town council?
I
If
think-
so, what is that
And
advice?
I think the advice right now is we have an invasive species list. And if there are trees that are not on that list that can go down, until we have a plan, I don't think there's anything that we can do as far as advising the council other than don't pick something off that list.
Even natives can be harmful if you've utilized them properly.
Well, but there's also other species that potentially be even more beneficial.
That's what I mean.
Shade trees, for instance, and we've all been under, areas that have canopies and.
Which trees do we use in Bayside Park?
I use cabbage palms, sable palms.
Sable palms. So why don't we just advise that we use sable palms in any areas along Estero Boulevard or Times Square area? And we keep uniformity all throughout the island. They provide shade. They're native, correct?
So right now you have coconut palms, some have died, some are still standing. You also have royal palms, some have died, some are still standing. So are you proposing that we would remove all of the royal palms and coconut palms that are existing to replace them with a different palm tree?
No.
No, this is
No,
about
I'm just talking about the ones.
This is
we're
the Tree
advising
USA Foundation that the
Right.
town managers
whatever
pursuing.
trees are needed.
Right, so again, whenever we're going for a grant, we have places where we can plant trees, and up and down these boulevards or OSC, we already have coconut palms. So to your point about uniformity, would we be taking out all the other coconuts, so would we be uniform with something else? Or are you recommending staying uniform with the
Well,
coconut
are
palms?
coconut
or-
trees
Where are the
native?
coconut palms? I mean, you're
Coconut-
saying that there's coconut
No, but
palms that are the town
Florida
planted in the
friendly.
right of way?
It's on OSC, I don't know who
What's
planted.
OSC?
Old St. Carlos?
Old St. Carlos. So the ones that are in the grates there between the street and the sidewalk.
Rose, what would you propose?
Well, the coconut palms are tolerable unless they're right next to a moving waterway. That's the official thing. If they're next to moving water, then they should not be planted there because the coconuts fall into it and then they become invasive. But most of the ones on the island are not next to moving water. I'm sure there are some next to canals.
Where do we have coconut palms?
Old St. Carlos School Board?
That block.
There's one in Times Square that's behind the wavy wall that's been incorporated into the garden that's being planned there.
So,
So how many trees do we have on Old St. Carlos Boulevard?
We're in the middle of a tree survey right now, we can get that to you next meeting.
Thank you.
So Jed, did you work on this, this grant to Tree USA Foundation, is that what it's called?
We're working on several grants, yeah.
You're working on those, so can you tell us more about what was in the town manager's report on, pursuing coconut palm, or royal palms? Were you part of that selection committee, or how did that evolve? Is there any?
So again, we have coconut palms existing on OSC. The staff's recommendation is to replace the ones that were damaged by the hurricane, to keep uniformity down Old St. Carlos Boulevard, and then the same with the royal palms. So
The same what with royal palms?
royal palms down north of Estero Boulevard, we have some that are removed, some that are still standing, so we would be filling in the gaps for the royal palms that were lost.
Are there royal palms on North Estero Boulevard?
There's some down there and some of my neighbors had some, but.
Like where, what, the block,
Carlos Circle, the last street on the island. But,
From
north.
From here to Dulwich, more or less.
gotcha, yeah.
but some of those trees came down, like I said, one was in my yard. I mean, they're massive when they fall down. And the other problem is if you're planting them, as you said, if they're like 2 years old or less, there's a possibility they're not well enough established. And then you've got that whole gigantic tree falling down again. If you're looking at continuation of things, you got the Bayside Park with the cabbage palms or sable palms, then that would just make sense. Then that would line Old Carlos Boulevard because it would be the same trees going down both sides of the street. Then there's trees like black olive, and there's one coconut palm in Times Square, and they planted royal palms in there. But they're small, they're little, you wouldn't know they're royal palms right now. They're very petite, they're a nice size. And I don't know, as they redo Times Square, those may be relocated at some point in the future, I don't know. But going down the boulevard, Estero Boulevard, you know, it's kind of whatever. I mean, there's some buildings really close to the road, like Margaritaville, where there's nothing that's going to be planted hardly, and then there's some spaces where there's a wider section. It's not going to look like McGregor Boulevard, probably no matter what we advise.
So we have the town going to give us a survey next meeting, maybe?
Well, I'm doing that for a grant, but I'm happy to share that with you.
All right, thank you. And then the other question I see is, where do we have room for this?
Mhm.
Right? Is that part of your survey too?
Yeah, so we're assessing trees, whether or not they're stumps, dead trees, live trees, and just taking GIS lat long on those and seeing where we do have room where either royal palms or coconut palms were previously, and getting some grant money to replace them. Culture, you know, to Ms. Rose's point, coconut palms, yes, they are a category 2 invasive. My understanding is that they are category 2 invasive because they will drop fronds and basically suffocate out any other growth of natives. That's not a concern on OSC. They are culturally significant. They've been there for years, and they're a good look. That would be my recommendation to staff.
Is there anybody that wants to make a motion to advise the council on the matter?
Well, I think we would need more information to make a motion for
Well, I
advising.
think the motion would be that, has this been, you know, is this received by the community? Is it, has it considered for shade, for evacuation, for
Spacing.
danger, for uniformity, those types of things? Have those all been considered? And whether or not they prefer to have MERTF work on that. That's our position, our responsibility, actually. is to
Well,
advise as needed.
in echoing what Bill said, I think we need to get some additional information before we can make a recommendation and then have public comment when it comes back, discuss it, and then let public comment come in and make a comment before we can recommend to the council on anything. I mean, we should allow the information to come back, let that information go out, and let people come in and make a public comment if they so choose, and then make a recommendation.
What's the deadline on the grant?
Exactly, is this work?
Yeah, it is November 17th, so it is coming.
Yeah.
If y'all would like to make a recommendation.
Okay, so let's get on it.
Well, with the deadline and with what you're working on with the grant,
Yes, sir.
are you limited by species by any means?
We're not necessarily limited. It would preferably be a native species, but right now it's, the thought was to replace what had been taken from the hurricane, or taken by the hurricane, just for these two. We have a lot of projects coming up with town property that there'll be opportunities to do different landscaping plans. But right now you have coconut palms in OSC that need to be replaced, and royal palms down North Estero Boulevard that need to be replaced. If we're going to keep things uniform, we were going to be replacing species like for the most mature tree that we could afford with the grant. And that was also the concern. You know, canopy trees, you know, different palm trees, et cetera, would be great, but then you're ripping down trees that cost thousands of dollars to replace. And, you know,
We're not talking about.
So what I hear you saying is like for like, so when they said, so the note that we read from the town manager's report isn't necessarily, I mean, we needed more information, so you're saying that the royal palms are just for North Estero Boulevard? And then they also said OSC, but the OSC you're saying is replacing just coconut palms.
we already have coconut palms there, so my recommendation was to continue with the uniformity of coconut palms.
Okay, so I misinterpreted it by the way it was written. It said Estero Boulevard, meaning I'm thinking the entire length of it, and then also Royal Palms on OSC is what it said, also on Old San Carlos. I couldn't figure out how those would possibly
But Old
fit.
San Carlos should probably be the sable palms, because coconut palms are dangerous and so are these very large.
Chad's
coconut
point
palms.
is you'd be removing the coconut palms to make it uniform.
Well, there's not that many living there.
Yeah.
The ones that are there can stay and add in some, and then add in some cabbage palms to fill in this rest of the street, all the way to Bayside Park.
Okay.
Because once you get to Times Square, like I said, you have a coconut palm tree there already.
So if y'all can just make a recommendation, we're at nearly 10:40, it was 11 o'clock scheduled in the meeting. And we're on that agenda item.
The 11 o'clock was scheduled.
Yeah, an hour meeting.
Oh, I guess I didn't notice that.
Chad, is there a difference in price for the trees compared, like a royal palm and a cabbage? Is it worth considering or it doesn't?
I'm sure there's a difference, yeah, I'm sure sable palms are cheaper.
Are cheap?
I think everybody's agreed, you want to have uniformity in look.
Yeah.
But we can't put the same palms on the whole island. There are gonna be areas where we have royal palms and areas where we have coconut and areas where we have sable.
I think Old San
And
Carlos
so-
Road and Bayside Park, we can keep uniformity. And then the
Okay.
ones, and I'll
Leave what's
also,
there.
it's a responsibility to Fort Myers Beach to plant responsibly and
Sure.
native. So, if this grant is coming to us, I think we can say that we would like to keep all native plants in our business district. So,
I think basically what we want is caution on the royal palms because of their size and striving for uniformity. So can we put that in a motion?
So my opinion is that the north, Estero is fine, it's Royal Palm for Royal Palm, those are already there. So
Right.
that was the confusion in my mind. As far as Old San Carlos, if they have sable palms in Bayside Park, does it make sense then to select sable palms for Old San Carlos?
That
For
makes sense.
uniformity only.
And not remove the coconut palms that may already be existing.
Right,
There is-
as long as they're healthy, of course they should stay.
But then you're mixing and matching, right?
But like I said, there's already a coconut palm in Times Square. It's okay to have a variety of
Right.
trees. Actually,
Once they come in, they'll look good, as long as they're green.
All right, so where's that leave us?
well, I would make a motion that we have the royal palms replaced on the northern end of the island from Baldrige Point to Times Square, and that Old San Carlos Boulevard of sable palms fill in the spaces between the existing coconut palms.
I'll second that.
Do we know
For
the cost?
discussion,
Do we know the cost of?
well, I think it's a grant, so
Yeah,
Chad's gonna get us whatever we want. He's writing the grant.
so, do we have discussion?
Yep.
Since we have a second, we have discussion, so now what?
Any more input on that motion?
Can we have that motion again?
So the Royal Palms replaced on North Estero Boulevard as is current. And then on Old San Carlos, we would fill in the missing trees there with sable palms versus coconut palms.
I would only say that we recommend it. I mean,
Well, that's all we can do
Yeah,
anyway.
that's right.
Yeah, we're advisory.
We have no power.
and I understand
So
that.
we all-
Yeah, that's our advice, as you've seen in the past, it could be taken or it could be, ignored. It's
Is this
the will of the
grant?
council.
I'm sorry, I missed something. Is the grant also to get trees for the south end of the island as well?
That's not my understanding, based on what Chad said.
Not right now.
Okay,
No.
okay, all right.
Any more input?
No.
All right, I'll move to a vote.
I take that back, I will be doing some access plannings.
Oh, beach access planning. Okay, so let's add sable palms to beach access. No?
No.
Okay, what?
No,
No.
Let's wait for
unless
that.
they're, unless they're
Preference there was gonna be shade trees, usually sea grape shade
Oh.
trees.
Yeah.
Okay, cross that hurdle.
Is Bowditch involved in any of the grants?
It's county.
No.
It's county, that's what I was making sure.
So for the sake of time, should I move to a vote? All in
Yes.
favor?
I,
Aye. Any opposed? Nope, okay, so, 4-0. Motion by,
Me.
Rose Larkin, second by Johnson, okay. All right. Moving along. Canal dredging?
That was just something that was mentioned at the.
I mentioned it, and I think Chad said that we don't have any say in that, is that correct? I was told,
Oh, no, we're pursuing funding to clean the debris out of the canals, out of the mooring field. We're gonna be doing side scans soon. And,
Is that why Miramar
we're
Street is
also going
closed?
to be,
The access on Miramar?
no, we had partnered with FDP Aquatic Reserve staff and went and helped them clean out Matanzas Island, north of the bridge, or west of the bridge. So we were staging a 20-yard dumpster over there and filled that up with debris from Matanzas Island, which is a
is that the Bird
protected
Island?
rookery island.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Bird Island. Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Staff helped them out with that yesterday.
That's awesome. So how long is access gonna be, or that ramp gonna be closed for that purpose?
I can check with AP staff and see when they've scheduled the pickup, but I think it's ready to be picked up, and they may be doing a second day. So if there's an issue with somebody needing access to that boat ramp, please just give me a call.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't think anyone.
so the issue that came up is simply that, that's not necessarily the charter of the Anchorage Committee. So,
The canals,
Councilman
the canals are,
Adderholt was suggesting that they don't have enough to do, so they should, sort of do the heavy lifting for the canal cleaning.
oh,
Whereas it's more obviously marine and environmental resources, that's clearly smack in the center of our charter.
Mhm.
But I'm of the opinion that, go ahead, go do the heavy lifting, I mean, whatever the regulatory, whatever's required, but certainly we'll keep track of sort of what's going on if it's, I mean, I don't see that there's an issue, but.
it sounds interesting. I mean, we know it has to be done. It's gotta be a heck of a mess. The
Yeah,
sooner we
oh, yeah.
start, the better.
I just hope they're careful with oysters. I was out doing a Keighley County beautiful cleanup back in the mangroves, and I saw a plastic chair hanging from the mangroves, and I got out and got it, and I didn't realize it, but when I grabbed it, it had oyster shells all over it. It sliced my hand.
Oh, wow.
So people should be aware, wear gloves when cleaning out
Good
the
point.
mangroves.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the town is doing that, or is the state doing that?
It was a state initiative. We can only access that with state permission. It's a protected rookery island, so it's, I think boat traffic and pedestrian traffic is prohibited from there. But
It's a
it was,
CWA.
it was a state initiative. They asked us to partner with them, and we were happy to help.
Good.
okay, anything else on canal dredging?
Is there a schedule for that?
Canal dredging?
Yeah.
Right now, the first thing on the schedule is to get funding. Once we get funding, then the rest of the schedule comes alive.
All right, there wasn't any proposed schedule when you put the,
How can Murph
Can't
help?
make a schedule if you don't have money to do it,
How can Murph help with ideas?
I mean, it's just pretty straightforward. Get the debris off the canals and dredge the canals to either -5 or -7.5 in real water.
Yeah, and that's the rest that they missed with the barge guys.
If you have a dredge and you can do it for free, that would be great help.
Okay, so shall we move along here?
Yes.
All right, next up was the, actually initiative list. So what I was gonna go through is exactly what the state of the new members. We maintain a list here for, to sort of populate our agenda items as we go through it and prioritize it. And these most recently were presented to council on May 15th, 2023, and prior to that, it was presented on April, right after we got back, re-adjourned after the hurricane. So I will, for the sake of time, kind of go through these and confirm that these are still on or off. So we have consensus, and then actually I had that list that was developed last time. We can determine what's on or, to add, and then we can go ahead and present it and ask the town council during advisory reports, advisory reports during town council meeting. So we've got all the, these are tabled, really landscape vegetation management, and the tree ordinance, and landscape irrigation and water short model ordinances. Those are all tabled due to SB 250. We have dark skies model ordinance. So for the benefit of the new people, dark skies is, basically it could become a community, a dark skies community. It's, I would say it's very difficult. We have to have, basically, the next steps we had for that is wait to see results of municipal projects, because if the municipalities don't abide by these, then there's no way they'll give the community the certification. Now, whether we get the certification or not, after investigating the entire thing, we said we cannot move forward to pursue certification without support from town and entirety of community stakeholders. So it requires all this legwork, letters from the delegation, legislative delegation, mayor's letters, commitment. I personally felt, and I think the advisory board thought we didn't have that commitment, not even close to it yet. Specifically based on some municipal projects that have gone on recently. So there's no way we could possibly move forward with it. So is that still something that should stay on? It could be prioritized a little much lower in the list and wait for things to evolve. So consensus is to keep it on.
I think it's aspirational. We have more immediate needs.
It's absolutely aspirational. Right. So we also had rebuild right beach accesses. I think we've sort of given our feedback on that with regard to resilient beach access design. So we know the 88, the 1 in 20, or now maybe the 1 in 25 we're pursuing is in place. Rebuild right Bayside Park, we gave our input on that. So that can actually come off. So a counselor had asked us to look into the Crescent Park access to see if there's a strap, a piece of property there that they thought was a sliver between pier side grill maybe and the pier. We didn't pursue that. I'm not sure that's something, that's sort
That's
of.
a Lee County parcel.
That is a lead count. So is there a strap number? Bill brought it up. Were you there when he brought that up at the town council meeting?
Yeah, there's a strap that's on Lee, but
It's on leak, but the one he's specifically talking about, and it's right now.
I know there's a sliver between the pier and pier side property, formerly known as.
And that's, you're saying that's county?
Lee County.
Okay. So, I don't think there's any way we can move on that. It never made the list. That was just something that was brought up. We had rebuild right mangrove protections. So what we were looking for is reviewing the protections afforded mangroves by state, local, and state and federal guidelines, and then finding out how best to prevent sort of what happened at the beach theater, where it's better to not ask for permission, just rip it out, pay your fines, pay the mitigation bank and Pine Island, and move forward. Even though all these protections are there, that's sort of the way you can get around it.
We need to leave that
So is there another way we can somehow protect them better? So it's not up for discussion.
Right, but we need to
Shall
leave
it
it on
remain? Okay,
in my opinion,
it might too. Again, depending on when we get to it.
because that'll be a good discussion.
Yeah, well, I know for a fact that there's projects around town
Right.
that people are looking at, how can we get rid of these mangroves?
Get rid of the
consultant, yeah, that I talked to. So that's consensus, leave that on?
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
that's important.
Rebuild right town vegetation, so we did that already, that's actually tabled. The density intensity, I think what we said, I have a comment in my members report for that, just maybe how to pursue that, find somebody that we can find to come and talk. Rebuild right was beach obstructions, so now that we have all these beach projects going on and managed beach zones, can we ensure that there's compliance through adoption of dune design? So right now you can't have obstructions on the beach. It has to be behind the dune typically. So in the past, they sort of they allowed non-compliance. So the idea now is if we're gonna start rebuild properly, can we actually ensure that that is afforded those water sports and hotels and kind of whatever condo equipment, beach chairs, that kind of stuff have to be put behind dunes. And obviously that means that there has to be an existence of dunes. Or it has to be taken off of the beach,
not behind it.
over the seawalls.
Not behind a berm, but behind the sand dune. It's two different things, right?
I mean, should it stay on this? right
Yes,
now?
it should stay.
And that can be
It's
addressed in
important.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of proper design, I think, and the opportunity afforded us by being able to rebuild the beach.
Sure. That's what we're here for, beach.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep
Okay.
that.
Sure. The EC zone protections, again, this was on here just as a ways to continue to protect this critical buffer to prevent encroachment on the beach. At the time, there was they updated the language on EC zoning districts to, I think, allow for pools to be maintained, a couple of them that were still in the EC zone, but I think that went through, that legislation. They amended
What do you mean by pools? People's pools? Swimming pools?
these were multifamily pools, I think, were the ones that, there's a couple that were, if they can be repaired, then they didn't have to take them out and put them back behind the EC zone. I'm pretty sure that was it, so I'm not sure is that still current?
Or is it done?
Yeah, that's what,
I mean, the laws are there, I mean, you can't build in there without variance or special
how
exception.
much we
Yeah, I
can
don't
do
think
that
there's
in.
much we can say or do with it.
Right, okay. Beach raking and grooming compliance,
That's
Leave
important.
that on there.
okay. Additional items directed by Tom, we had the beach school was requested, so we have that actually on our agenda today. And the second one was Arbor Day. Some kind of tree giveaway, try to work on getting grants through Tidal Basin, but it sounds like Chad's working on that. So my intention, I think typically we support Arbor Day, right, the town itself?
It was pretty successful the last time we did it.
Right.
To the new people, we did a tree giveaway and there was 2 different trees. Can anyone tell me which
So
ones
the
they were?
question is that one was a orange,
Geiger and,
the other one's mahogany.
it's like Jamaican dogwood or something,
Okay.
or something, no.
So the question is, we'll ask our liaison. So Chad, Arbor Day, is there any reason we wouldn't be pursuing that this next year? I mean, that should be an initiative for us.
Pursuing what, sir?
Arbor Day giveaway, plant giveaway on Arbor Day?
Tree giveaway?
Yeah, I think you got the trees for us, didn't you?
I would like to make a recommendation to the town council by all means.
So we should,
Yes,
okay, we'll leave that on
because it's
there.
in February.
Okay, we'll leave that on there, yeah. Well, I think the idea was if we do something that was outside of the normal Arbor Day cycle, just to green up the town after here.
Sure.
Okay, so sure. Okay, so that stays, 3 is, accesses, fire restriction, state code. Oh, so one of them that came up, and I don't know if that should be on there, but this, recommendation, we made a recommendation for them to inspect compromised wastewater lines. So I just had my plumber through, and it's actually an iron plumber, and he said that every single waste line that they pulled up has been percolated, has been compromised. The old cast iron is all leaching into the ground. So, I mean, that was brought up to them. Somebody pointed to a Key West ordinance. Is that something that we should maybe
What do? They
fine
just
tune to see what's?
drop something in the toilet to see if, and then
No,
flush
they
it and see if
have,
the
they put a camera on it,
goes
they
through?
put a camera
Oh, there's
through
a
it.
camera. It's to see
And then
if
when they rip
leaks.
it up, they can see it's just falling apart.
I think so, because I think we keep finding fecal matter in the waters around here more and more often. And it's not all from discharges from Lake O and Caloosahatchee, we're
No,
finding it
all
south.
our tributaries are,
So,
a lot of it's coming
I
down
think
there.
the more that happens, the more questions are gonna be raised, and so we might as well start getting ahead on
Well,
that.
you can't point your finger at everybody else when
Right.
you're actually doing it yourself. So
Right,
maybe I'll leave
that's-
that on here. I mean, again, we can prioritize them
Well,
later.
I can tell just for discussion, after the storm, and I don't know what the rest of the buildings are doing up and down the beach, but we had to have all of our sewer lines scoped all the way out to the Estero Boulevard.
The whole island, yeah.
And because they were all underwater.
Yeah.
And salt water is tremendously corrosive in the amount of time we were under, so we literally scoped all of our lines out to Estero Boulevard, and I'm sure most of the multi-resident,
Yeah, same
You know,
with you, Bill.
coming in.
Is it your scope, or you don't know?
It's gonna be scoped.
Okay,
Our plumber is on board.
okay.
Is that an insurance requirement or who required, or were you just smart enough to do it?
that's because if you don't do it in 3 years, you're gonna have to dig up your parking lot.
Okay,
Mhm.
so then everybody should, on the island should be aware of that,
It's
even individual homeowners.
everyone that had black iron pipe underwater should have their pipe scoped, and that would be.
That's the entire island.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the point is, it's a source of pollution. It's
Okay, so we leave it on?
So, yeah, we can leave it on there for discussion and, or like I said, this is just, I'll go and I'll talk to the town council and they'll say, no, that's not an issue, or don't spend time on that, or we give that to staff or do whatever. Although they don't typically give us a ton
Sounds
of
pretty
direction. They
serious.
usually
I don't, well, you can't pass an ordinance, but you can certainly recommend to people
Advise people, yeah,
that should be done.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But some people have PVCs going out, some people have black iron, so you can't just make a blanket statement. But it is a concern, at least in our complex, and we've addressed it. I know a lot of other people in my situation, sitting up in charge of multi-resident buildings, have done the same thing. Whether it's been mandated or should be mandated, I think that's up to the individual.
Was it the county that flushed out the pipes underneath the streets?
That they have done that.
The
The
county
stormwater,
stormwater
That's the
Those
town,
weren't new.
isn't
No,
isn't
this
it
is,
the
we're talking about wasteland.
waistlines?
Waistlines, yeah. I mean, I think, well, again, it's not.
They're two different stuff.
Yeah, they're two
Discussion,
different.
and also it's not really up for discussions whether we keep it or not. And so I was trying to be brief about this. So, yeah, that stays. So that's really about it outside of the MERTF pamphlet. I think that, I mean,
Are we talking?
this is the initiative list. Again,
Okay,
stuff that we
initiative,
would
but then-
technically work on.
Are we still gonna get to the beach school
Sure.
cooperation
Well-
and, or did you just bypass one of those?
No, we're still working on
Oh,
initiatives.
oh, I see, okay.
So,
Yeah,
is that-
pamphlets,
is that still an initiative?
pop-up, yes, of course.
And pop up around there.
Pamphlet and activity book. But I'd like to speak about the activity book today.
Okay, so and then last meeting, you had the privately supplied sand, you had brought up. So we can leave that on for discussion, obviously. Larkin had vegetation, which is on fertilizer cards. Is that something, an initiative that we would?
No, it's just more of a reminder that we had them. in the
All right,
past.
and then you had, since Jen was in the area, coloring book, so that's.
Yeah, well, the activity book, the
That's under
coloring book
beach
is all
school
kind of the same.
cooperation?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I
That's
think,
under beach school
yeah,
cooperation.
so I'll
education.
share that
Okay,
information.
well, I was saying, but on the initiative list,
Oh.
again, these are, town council, these are things we're working on, tell us which ones are most important, which ones are least important. Take away the ones we're not supposed to work on, and add stuff that we're supposed to work on.
The activity book and the pamphlet are gonna be ongoing.
All right, and Bill had easement from 15 to 5 years, which maybe we can talk about that during the beach sand
Mhm.
projects. Support and promote recovery, that's split ahead beach reviews, lighting, and canals, commercial use of canals, which I'm not sure that's an initiative we can work on
Right,
per se. Hal had education, of course, beach school,
Yeah, school outreach.
enforcement on the beach, which I think is covered by instructions and ranking.
Something I did want to add, I keep asking to get it on so we can discuss it again, is the propeller guards. We're begging to put that on again.
All right, are you guys willing, do you think is there changes to where? we
I have more ideas that I think would be more community friendly that I would like to discuss.
Initiative.
So these are for the benefit of the new members, this is the prop cards.
I watched the meeting.
Okay, so, do we have consensus that would still be something we?
Humanity deaths are going up every year.
Yeah, it's not,
something
it doesn't
with
just
great
protect
highest
manatees, but yeah.
Right, well, there's,
Okay,
we've identified.
That's the big thing.
in regards to the dredging, do they, after they dredge, do they, do any sort of replenishment of seagrass, or is there any way to do that?
There's no
The
secrets
man-made
in the
canals, I wouldn't expect it, and in the Warren field, I would not expect it.
Yeah,
Just a thought.
so, question in the group is prop cards, do they stay on the initiative list?
Yes,
Prioritized?
I see.
All right.
That'll be a good discussion.
That.
Sure.
Well, it is, I mean, I think it's worth discussing, I think
I also think,
scientific data, but again, that's, it's on. so
right, well, no, something else to add, I don't know if now's the time to keep.
For initiative, like, yeah,
It just kind of came up with what Rose was talking about with like using social media. So we're an advisory committee, but we still have a presence in the community with our pop-ups and things like that. Could we start doing more with the social media person to when we are out, putting a new thing on the website, or if we are suggesting, because we just said it, prop guards, or a certain kind of plant that people are liking on the, just little things, could we have, or get with the social media person to have a weekly MERF post? Is that something that would be out of our reach? Just, and I'm not saying,
absolutely not,
No,
they're always
Jenny's-
constantly looking for
Yeah,
content.
Jenny's
Yeah.
pretty receptive for Murph to
okay,
send.
I've never met her, so.
Yeah, so
really.
she's pretty receptive for pictures and information
Okay.
and things like that, so.
So could we start adding like maybe just a quick little 5-minute thing at the end of our meetings?
Yeah, we can put that as an initiative, ask town council if think it'd be a great idea for us to
But-
submit something on a regular basis
Yeah.
for social media.
To have a MERF minute or something. Like a little minute video or something.
Hey, man, you gotta brand it if you're gonna sell
Hey,
it.
it has to be catchy.
Dude, I need a minute.
You look like you need a MERF minute.
So we have consensus on social media,
I'm copywriting.
we'll be everywhere, right? Shoreline Spotlight and Observer, at the
Right.
minute and social media.
Oh, speaking of which, did you receive my Murphy Award?
No.
Lacey, and it was the
Right, you owed me that, but no, I haven't received it.
Chad,
Yes,
did you, get the email where I sent the Murphy Award? It was on
Sent it.
Halloween, on the 31st.
I do remember seeing something.
I guess a better question is, did you forward it on?
Let's see.
Is this
Anyway.
based on well, let me continue here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so, Johnson had the beach, that's already on. So I think that covers everything we added last meeting. So, I'll make a motion to advise the town council on our updated initiative list and give your feedback.
A second that, Spoletta seconds.
Real quick, is the beach school cooperation on there too?
It is,
Okay, good.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a beach sand project.
You seconded it?
I seconded it.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries.
Aye.
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 All right, excellent. So that leads us to beach school cooperation.
Oh, good.
So there's 2 items left here. So having that notice that we were limited to an hour,
Can I motion to extend the meeting till noon?
I'm not gonna be able to be here till then, I have an appointment at 11:30 and do need to get out of here. Welcome to stay in, use the room until it's.
I wish we knew.
well, the difficulty, the questions answered on the beach sand projects. So
So are we now discussing the beach school cooperation?
I would say so.
Okay. Can I take a lead or no?
Sure.
Okay, so I just passed one of these out to everyone.
Yes.
And, Sanibel has a C school. It's, people that I've spoken with say it's been, successful. I believe a council member had, asked us to maybe, and I've spoken with people, from Beach Kids School, and they're excited, that we're gonna be working on something like this for them. So I thought this would be a good start to kind of piggyback off of some of the things that Sanibel C School has done. We've been working
So
on,
the content you're saying?
yeah, just to kind of give us an outline of what the things that we could do.
So this is a summer thing, right? They do this, is it like a camp, a summer camp, is that it?
Yeah, which I don't believe this is what we're gonna be doing as a
Okay.
summer camp, but more incorporating a program within the curriculum at the
During the school year.
During the school year,
At what
Maybe-
age levels, for the whole school?
for the whole school.
So like
Mhm.
kindergarten to 5.
Where we'll get to go into the classrooms and stuff.
Or take.
This is all up for discussion, we're basically at the very bottom, so any ideas, throw them out there. I'm thinking, so I wrote just down some ideas and, basically, maybe the MERTF participates, like a 3-hour, once a month, program. We did the kids camp, this past summer, and we came here with, the kids camp was here at Mountain House, and we would come and do a pop-up, and we would take the kids and walk them down to the beach, and we did scavenger hunts and things like that. So the kids were extremely receptive, and they loved every minute of it. So we could do something like that once a month, maybe get a speaker,
One of the
FGCU or from other areas, to come and maybe speak with the teachers, while we do something with the kids. So these are just some, ideas I was throwing
Yeah,
out.
there's a lot of NGOs and nonprofits that we can tap too, right?
Yep, and
One
also,
I think what we need to do is we should talk to the teachers first.
I have,
Right.
I think
yeah, I have.
that at each grade level, we need to know what they're presenting in their science programs,
I'm
what are they
very familiar
reading,
with Florida
so
curriculum.
that
Yeah.
we can do something that's
So-
appropriate at each
So
given
the
age.
principal has been.
We can't walk in there without, just.
Well, that's why we're discussing it. This is
Okay.
why we're discussing it. So, and right now, the school is working on their curriculum. So once they have that down, then they'll probably guide us on time and.
That should be
I would-
really,
I would like
once
to-
we know what they're
Determine the
studying,
scope
we'll
of
know.
what they
But also,
want
one
to
of
show
the
us.
ideas I had was kids teaching kids beach school. Basically maybe having other schools, have little, what do you call when you go on an outing to come down and the kids can teach the other kids what they learned on the beach. So that's an idea.
I would like to put myself out there. I'm very familiar with Florida state curriculum as well as the teachers' standards. And having taught and created curriculum for Columbus Zoo, and that I'd really love to be involved highly in
Good,
this.
well then, so this is also,
Perfect.
and I'm gonna hand this to you.
Being in front of kids and teaching is what I love
It's
to do.
about resources. It's
Okay, so this is basically an outline for you, if we could just quickly go through
Is
it
this
so
the
I can
coloring
show
book?
you. This is information about the activity book, and this is something we can also incorporate into the kids, school, water school program, whatever we want to call it, environment school program. So,
So
Flippers and
Can we
Feathers
actually-
are beach friends forever, and this book actually is, this is just the front of an activity book that was handed out from Anna
that's my
Marie.
question, right?
And unfortunately, they had given me authorization to print their activity book, and as much as we wanted, it's not copyrighted. However, they passed away before they could give me the thing. So that's okay, because we now are gonna create our own activity book. And I think it'll give the kids a sense of pride that the kids can share it with libraries and other schools and other areas. We can give it out at the pop-up, we can share it with other communities. So if you open it up, during the kids camp, you'll find a few pages of drawings of stuff that they learned on wildlife and water quality. And then you'll get to the page where it says Flippers and Feathers Beach Friends Forever badge. So a child actually drew this for Anna Marie when they were developing this activity book. And if you turn that page, this is a picture of a key. Do you see the key?
Yeah.
A child from our beach school drew this, and I thought it was actually very, very good. It could probably be, worked on a little bit more, but I found it very artistic and unique. At the top of the key, it says the beach beautiful. And I think what they meant was this is the key to keeping our beach beautiful. So I love that as maybe a badge on the activity book. You go to the next page, and this is Macy Knoll. I'd like to present to you. Macy Knoll has agreed to help us illustrate this activity book. She's an FGCU student, and basically there's just a bio of who she is. Then once you turn that page, these are just some illustrations that she's done for businesses and other nonprofit organizations. I love the bird, Elise Turns. I think she does birds beautifully. And then Dr. Gunnels, the FGCU professor, had requested or had asked if there was anything we could do for Ms. Knoll in regards to an honorarium or grant or something like that. So I contacted our town manager, and that's the last page. The last page is, I've copied Joe Osnick, Finance Director, on my reply. Joe should be able to answer your question about the donations. As far as an honorarium, I will have it to discuss with Joe, and Talisa, HR Manager, also copied on this. I haven't heard back, but basically I asked her, is it basically a done deal if you don't get any honorarium? Is it basically you won't be able to help us? And she said, basically, she prioritizes, and that's understandable. She's a college student, so if we can get something for her to help us, she will be able to do it much faster. She'll be able to start on the activity book in January. So, so that's where we're at with that. Any questions?
No.
I would like to make just a comment, and that's going back to the beach school. For the C school, as you know, and everyone on the island, the school is desperately seeking to increase their enrollment.
Bingo.
And that's part of the covenant that they have with the school board, is that the student population is increasing. So if this can be utilized in the summer months to encourage students not on the island to come in and get a flavor of what is now going to be our remodeled school, and something that they're not getting where they are presently going to school, I think that would be a tremendous enrollment device.
Yes.
To try and bring more children on the island and bolster the school.
Absolutely, and I think that's where the idea of getting the school their own program too will entice people that have children off island that maybe want to be marine biologists or want to get into some sort of science. If the school themselves during school season, that they have some sort of program too.
Or just getting children on the island into the school.
Right.
They don't have to become a marine biologist
Right.
to go to one of the best schools in Southwest Florida.
Right. So that is, I also, just to give you a heads up on our budget, we're given 5,000. I'm not sure if you two new people know this, but we were given 5,000 from the Fort Myers Beach Community Foundation, and then from a private resident, another 4,700, I believe. So that money is still there for us. It will not go away. I believe we allocated 5,000 to go towards this activity book for printing costs, and which it doesn't go very far when it comes to activity books. But so far, we've allocated 5,000, and I believe, or maybe actually more. I take that back. Maybe 8,000. I can't remember. We discussed it and we passed it.
Yeah, I don't remember a number, Jen.
And I believe 1,000 or 2,000 to go towards pop-up supplies. My problem that I'm having is now I'm back to buying all the supplies myself because I don't have anybody to order stuff. But I think maybe I'll talk to Andy and see if somebody is going to start ordering supplies for me again.
Okay, so my comment on this is the way I see it is we have, basically Murph has a budget of just under 10K.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now that's going to be used, and I don't expect any funding from the town this year, just because of the, 44% reduction in ad valorem taxes revenue. So I don't feel that we need to ask, but, so that's the 10K. We're lucky to have that actually. So you've got the coloring book and you've got the move pop-up. I think from my perspective, I mean, you have the authority to figure out activity book, to figure out how much you need for the pop-up and how much, for the.
So I can go ahead and start proceeding with looking at printing companies and prices and things like that, and then come back next month with what it's gonna cost. I probably need to get the activity book done first. So are all of you okay with maybe asking town council, or I don't know if it's just going to Andy and asking for if there's some sort of honorarium that we can give to this young lady, this student?
From town funds or?
Correct, because they have been asking for grants and they do have grants and things like that, so.
Gotta ask for the order, right? Can't be, you don't know the answer until you ask, so.
Do we go to town council or do we go just to the town manager?
I thought that's what you were doing. Didn't you say you wrote to somebody and they said they were working on it?
Yeah, but that was like,
Well, that was a while ago.
yeah, so I don't know if I just,
I do it, yeah, probably tell me.
Andy, okay. All right, so go to Andy, okay.
Yeah.
But we're all in agreement that this student should have some sort of honorarium to,
Yeah, I would move that we at least ask for an honorarium.
Yeah, there's gotta be some expertise and I'm not a graphic artist and so.
and you can see that she is talented, so.
Yeah.
Is this something that, because of sunshine law, we can't discuss outside of our meetings here, is specifically working on this once we get to a point where we can?
Well, it'll be her doing the illustration.
Well, I know, but making the curriculum and stuff like that, and for us going into the school or whatever it may be, is that something?
That's the program, we're talking about the activity.
Well, I know, but it's gotta go hand in hand, so once she's done, I'm thinking, should we have a meeting specifically for those who want to, a public meeting, since we can't talk about it outside of here, where we can specifically.
Schedule a workshop.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll have to.
We can-
Yeah, the attorney
Yeah,
said that
that's
you just have to
what they said.
notify Amy of the dates of when we would meet.
Yeah,
Just,
good
you just
idea.
have to notice the
Good idea.
meeting, yeah. So to get back to beach school cooperation, so we need the nuts and bolts here though. So the way I see it is we have to talk to the teachers first, right? So you can determine the scope of the cooperation. So who, do we have a volunteer to do that?
I mean, I had Chantel over at my house the other day, and she spoke with the principal, and the principal said, that they're working on their curriculum, and then, let me see if I could,
So she, are we gonna work,
So I've got-
Chantal's the president of the PTO right now?
I believe so, yes.
And then, so you've got the actual
And the
administrators,
principal.
the educators themselves, and then you have.
So let me just see if I can find her.
And they're working on the curriculum, but then you also have to consider there is that state Florida curriculum, so.
So
We also have to be very respectful of teachers' time. I mean, you say 3 hours, but
well, that
these
was-
teachers are already having such a hard time putting in what they have to. And this is talking from experience. It's something where we need to not just be like, hey, this is what we're offering, because they're not just gonna take it. It's something that they have to want,
Okay, so from the principal,
because it's gonna
she
be hard for
she
them.
said, the principal.
Yeah.
So the principal said, we can plan a meeting to discuss. There is a lot to consider, including standards, alignment, and supportive activities.
Right.
I'm all in for it. Just need time to lay out our academics first.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer. You're amazing. I'm just kidding.
So you'll be taking the lead then to attend this, to
I would
move
be,
it
I would be
forward?
happy if
Okay.
everyone else agrees.
Because, yeah, I mean, they reached out to us initially, I believe.
And then one of the council members
And
brought it up.
then Jim supported it because he worked closely with them on reopening the beach school, so.
Well, and I'm only talking from experience but it's one thing for like the school to reach out. It's one thing for the superintendent or whoever it may be to reach out. But the individual teachers, they're the ones that are getting stuff shoved on their shoulders. And it's
I would
really,
think it's kind of taking a little bit off their.
that's what I would think too.
Yeah.
But so for my Ranger Rob stuff, like I'm nationwide doing Zoom outreach programs. And it's something where the principals love it. But when it's actually the teachers, it's more for them to worry about. And not saying they don't like it, not saying they don't want it,
Yeah.
but each individual teacher is very different.
And when it comes
That's
to
all.
time, I just threw out the 3 hours. It could be an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
It's their expectation.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of the shoulders. We just want to be
We
respectful.
won't know what those are until Jennifer reports back to exactly what the
And
expectations
you might want to
are.
do the combination grade
And
level
then,
thing.
we would go
Yeah.
through the process
combination
of
grade level.
determining the resources required to meet those expectations and find out how we're gonna do it. So at this point, we
This is all discussion.
sort of table it.
Mhm.
We all know what's going on, and then we'll wait for you to communicate that you have an update for us when we add it to the agenda. Sound like a plan?
yes.
Okay. Any other questions on the beach school cooperation?
I would have
We need
one
to
thing.
find out what they have available, like they had kayaks there in the summer, do they still, what do they have? Is it,
That, I guess when we
Find
get
out,
to
yeah,
the
we'll
meeting,
find out.
I'll
No,
find out.
that was from the Mount House.
It's a Mountain House.
That was on the school.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the school does that. That's liability. I don't know about that, getting kids on the water.
Which is my question. Is there a form for the parents to sign off on their child having their name published?
That too.
Yes,
There
Yeah.
has to be an illegal form that maybe this
Yeah,
district attorney.
that was Jeff. Jeff handed all these to me, all the
Okay.
drawings, all the fun drawings, and I had asked if it was authorized, and he said yes.
There has to be a signed consent for each.
Okay.
Maybe he has that. That's the
Okay.
town. That's,
Okay.
that's on the town.
Okay.
That was
All right.
their
Are
camp.
you seeing next time?
Yeah, I think so.
So Jen, when are you meeting then? with
I
the
don't
teachers? You don't
know. I
know
just
yet?
got this
Yeah,
text message
Okay.
last night.
Let me know, because if I can, I will go. I would be very interested.
I don't believe you and I can go together under sunshine law unless we announce it and it's filmed.
Right.
Well, that's lousy.
But no, that was what was
Is
at the
that
last
a
meeting.
true check? If,
Yes, sir.
both Jen and I can't go meet with the teachers about this because of the sunshine law?
I would encourage y'all to work with Ashley. She's our educational coordinator. She's already working with the school and may be a good resource for y'all.
But could you meet with her with
When
one
Jen meets,
or more of
can
them?
I go too, or?
I'm not a lawyer.
As
so I
long
can't
as you're
give you advice,
posted.
But it is committee business. Y'all made a committee business and y'all are meeting together to talk committee business in a non-meeting, so that it may be an issue.
Yeah.
Attorney Voss said last time that if you notified Amy to post it, then it was okay.
Yeah.
You
But you
have to
still-
post it ahead of time so
you're
that the
gonna have a
public knows.
Meeting that the whole public can come and meet the principal.
Why not?
No.
I don't think
No.
so, but it did say this.
But I mean, why not leave it open to that? I'm not saying people will come, but
No,
Yeah,
it's not realistic. It's not realistic. I mean, if people are worried,
Not like that.
You know what, actually,
I would hope not.
Rose, would you like to take the reins on this?
No, I
Because you're-
wouldn't.
Because you're the
No,
educator.
you have a handle on everything
Well,
that's going on.
Wendy,
I would willingly
is our
help.
other educator, yeah.
But I don't want to be in charge of it. No, you are. You've done too much on it already, Jen.
Okay.
To stop now.
You're already doing
Keep the momentum, but
Okay,
it just
so
seems ridiculous.
it. Yeah.
since we've had to truncate the meeting here, we'll move beach sands to projects to the next meeting. And so members' items and reports.
we can keep the meeting going without chat, or do we have to?
Well, the thing
No,
about
we
the beach
need
sands
Chad.
projects, he's got all
We need
the,
Chad.
he's got, I mean, there's a lot of questions.
He's an important
A
guy.
lot of questions that we answered, yeah, so. So members' items and reports.
Can we do staff reports? Can we
Oh,
move
yeah.
since he's about to leave?
He's going. Grab it by the shirt.
You know, we're working to put $40 million worth of sand on the beach. Waiting for US Army Corps to issue a permit for The big renourishment project, which has pushed our project back to January at best, which is a concern because we only have until February 15th to put my sand on the beach on the south end of the CWA where it's needed most. We got funding from FDM for additional sand placement on the natural beach, which we put together a project for that, and that should be going out to bid soon.
When would you expect that to commence?
Sorry,
When would you expect that to commence
for what to commence?
for the project, the additional beach sand project, 1.9
It's
million?
typically a 30-day invitation to bid process, barring any protests, within 60 days at best.
Is that the length of the island then? Are we only talking about a specific area?
So there's two projects mentioned there. The renourishment project is from Bowditch to Lanark, and then in the CW area from Cresciente to Sun Caper condo, and then the money that we received from FTEP is going to be used to supplement the north end, the engineered beach. That was 1.89 million, and the approximately 8 million that we're expecting from FDM would be used on the natural beach, which would be from more or less Margaritaville south to Big Carlos Pass.
So the south end isn't being renourished as part of the renourishment project? Let's say you said it ended at Sun Caper, the renourishment project?
Correct.
Was that by request, or were they not considered critically eroded?
That was to renourish the CWA area. That's the.
But
critical
south
wildlife.
of the critical wildlife area?
For the renourishment project?
Yeah,
There's no ECL there. We weren't going to establish an ECL there. It's not designated as critically eroded.
it's not designated as critically eroded.
Correct.
That's gonna throw 150 feet of sand in front of what we have right now, right?
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
Yes.
And we are recommencing the burn project. FEMA approved $1.3 billion in additional sand, which will be, starting that burn project up right around Shamron, continuing with that. I know there's some concerns it's a little light. We are addressing that. You're at the end of the sand, so it's going to be addressed. We also be continuing that burn along the 7,000 block and the 8,000 blocks.
But that wasn't eligible for the FEMA burn, though, correct?
Where it was eligible, we will be continuing. And those are the 7,000.
Where it was eligible, yeah, but I mean, there's a portion there that was ineligible, right, for the category G or,
Correct.
right, so, and why was that ineligible?
I can talk to the engineer on the specific technicalities of that.
I mean, just, you don't know, or was there a height restriction?
I'd rather speak to the engineer and understand the FEMA criteria and why it's not ineligible.